Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with all bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for getting a nurse fired because she didn't know how to take care of my dad who has Alzheimer's? Throwaway. At the beginning of stay-at-home orders, I went to stay with my dad. He lives in a small retirement community and his home consists of a small kitchen, living room, a bedroom, and a bathroom. There's nowhere for me to work privately, so I normally just wear headphones and work in the kitchen. It's never been a problem. My dad has a nurse who comes Monday to Thursday to take care of him as he has Alzheimer's. I want to preface this with, I love the usual nurse who helps my dad. She's great. She had this week off, so there was another nurse who came in for her. Her substitute on this day was not great, and I'm upset with the company sending this woman out to help my dad when she couldn't handle working with him. Part of her job was to keep him in the living room and basically entertain him while I work, using puzzles, games, etc. to help with his memory. Our usual nurse is great at this. She tells him stories and is great with being patient with him. At first, this nurse seemed annoyed with him forgetting things like who I was and she was, but then started playing cards with him and he seemed to relax. Last Tuesday, I'm in my Zoom meeting, my camera is facing the entrance to the kitchen. I'm explaining my part in the team project and then my dad walks into the frame, opens the refrigerator, grabs a snack, waves at me, and walks out, all in his underwear. And I didn't realize it because I had headphones on and my back was to him. It wasn't until I watched the recording back and saw this. While in the meeting, my coworker messaged me to say my dad was there. I was horrified as to how this happened and why the nurse wasn't helping him. I exited the call and walked into the living room where she was arguing with him to put his clothes back on. I told her to leave the room and calmed my dad down to the point where he'd get dressed. Arguing with an Alzheimer's patient gets you nowhere. It stresses them out. I walked into the kitchen and asked what happened. She said he forgot who she was, said he wanted to shower, and started exposing himself. I asked if she had worked with an Alzheimer's patient before and she shrugged and wouldn't give a straight answer. I explained that she couldn't yell at him or argue. It just frustrates him. It's unproductive. She told me not to tell her how to do her job and that she was aware of his situation when she agreed to work. I told her to leave at that point. She was upset because there was still 2 hours of her shift left. But she left. I was very angry and called the company. I requested she doesn't work again with us and they asked why and I told them what happened. This week, our usual nurse comes in. I told her what happened and she said not to worry about it. The nurse was fired because of her behavior. I didn't ask, but I'm certain that it's because I called her company. And I feel like DA because times are tough and now she's out of job and it's my fault. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, the nurses are RNs, not CNA/caregivers. It's not your fault if she got fired, it's her company that didn't give her, or a check she already had, the right training. Not the unreasonable one. Not the unreasonable one at all. You did absolutely the right thing reporting her behavior. It fell way short of the standards of nursing care most regulators have. She was clearly inexperienced, but not only that, she wasn't even compassionate with him. From my understanding, it's unusual that one complaint would have got the nurse fired. I expect the agency had also had other reports of malpractice/unprofessionalism, or she'd lied about having previous experience with people with dementia. If she'd behaved this way with you in the house, imagine what she could have been doing when alone with older patients. You were looking out for your papa, and I expect your hope when you reported was that she'd get training or better supervision. Please don't blame yourself. You were just doing the right thing by your dad and other vulnerable older people. Good job, OP. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to take my stepsister along on a family trip that my fiancé is paying for? I've changed some details because I'm pretty sure my stepsister uses Reddit. When I was 11, my mom married my stepdad who also had a 13-year-old daughter. For the purpose of this post we'll call her Emma. Me and Emma have never gotten along. When I was 22 I finally went no contact with her. The straw that finally broke the camel's back was when she gleefully announced she was pregnant with my then fiancé. On Christmas Day. That was honestly one of the worst times in my life and it took me a really long time to recover from the betrayal. Emma ended up marrying my ex and they have a little boy together. I'm currently 28 and engaged to a wonderful man, who is a lot better than my ex ever was. Emma and my ex ended up divorcing after 3 years and she now lives with my mom and stepdad. My fiancé has family in Italy who he'd like me, and my parents, to meet before the wedding. The original plan was to go this summer, but obviously with COVID our plans got put on hold. I was discussing the plans to reschedule for next year with my mom recently and she asked me if I was going to invite Emma and her son along. I told her I wasn't and she asked me to reconsider because she didn't think my stepdad would come otherwise. That's fine with me, it's really my mom and dad that my fiancé wants to introduce to his family. She argued Emma has matured since becoming a mom and getting divorced and that she wants to attempt to have a relationship with me. When I told her I wasn't interested, she said I was putting her in an awkward position and that I was taking my half-sister and step-brother on my dad's side, so she felt like I was favoring him. My step-brother is literally the person who introduced me to my fiancé, and my half-sister and I are close. She also said it's unfair because Emma could never afford a trip like this on her own and my nephew would be the one to miss out on bonding time with his cousins. She asked me to reconsider before she left and has only replied to my texts to ask if I'd changed my mind. I'm starting to feel guilty because I know mine and Emma's dislike for one another has put a massive strain on my mom's marriage and it's not fair to her. My mom's sisters have also called me to ask me to change my mind. I'm starting to worry my mom might not come either with how cold she's being. My full sister has also reached out and told me Emma had been going to therapy and has realized that what she did was horrible and that I should consider forgiving her because she was going through a lot of her own issues, depression/low self-esteem, at the time, and that my ex also made her suffer a lot too. Realistically, if she came on the trip, I could just avoid her the entire time. But I also don't know if she has changed or if she'll start up her old tricks again. My fiancé is also the one paying for the trip and I selfishly don't want him to pay for her. Am I the unreasonable one? Update. I tried to read all of the comments, but I have around 900 plus unread messages, so I thought I'd just answer some of the questions being asked repeatedly here. 1. Did Emma ever apologize? No. 2. Why are you taking your entire family to Italy? My fiancé wants to give our families the chance to get to know one another and he hopes they'll be as close as his parents' families are. Also, he thinks I'll be more comfortable with my family there as well instead of being thrown in the deep end with all of his family in a foreign country. Also, our parents have already met. This is to meet his extended family, grandparents/aunts/uncles/cousins. 3. Does your fiancé know/what is his opinion? He knows. I moved in with my dad shortly after everything went down and my fiancé was already close friends with my stepbrother, so he used to hang out at my dad's place a lot, so he saw the whole aftermath. He thinks the request is ridiculous, but he has said he won't make the decision for me. My mom hasn't actually asked him despite threatening to, but he has made it clear he'll make sure she knows he doesn't want my stepsister there. 4. Why won't/can't your mom just come on her own? This is just an assumption, but I think she doesn't want to face my dad alone. They haven't had the best relationship after everything that went down. 5. Can't your stepdad/mom pay for her and you just don't invite her to the family events? In theory, yes, but we'll be staying with my fiancé's family, so this may raise uncomfortable questions. If they want to get her a hotel and just not interact with my fiancé's family the whole time, that's fine with me. Also, thank you for the awards. Not the unreasonable one. Why should your fiancé pay for her trip if you don't want her there in the first place? Maybe someone should consider your feelings, not just hers. Not the unreasonable one. If she's changed that much, why hasn't she reached out to you herself? If you choose to build a relationship with her, then that can be done at home. She doesn't need a holiday paid for to do that. If your mom puts you in an awkward situation and won't choose to come along, then I'd just leave her behind. Apart from it being totally understandable why you don't want her there, I'm also shocked at the sense of entitlement from you. Mother regards getting your fiancé to pay for her and her son to go because they couldn't afford it themselves. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to financially help my family after they abandoned me, even if it means they'll end up homeless? I feel like this is such a cliché Reddit story, but I'm really struggling with what to do here. So, I am my mother's oldest biological child. When I was 5, my father passed away and she remarried my stepdad when I was 8. When I was 9, I was sent away to live with my father's sister who lived states away because her husband didn't want me to live there anymore. They used to pay my aunt some money to watch me, but when I was 14 that stopped. My aunt and uncle worked low-paying jobs and had 2 of their own children, so they really couldn't afford the extra expense of having me around without that help. Despite that, they let me stay and continued to treat me like one of their own. I very rarely saw my mom. I think I saw her 5 times between 9 and 18. She never even called. She went on to have 3 more children, 19M, 18F and 16M, with my stepdad. Growing up, I used to stalk my siblings and parents on social media to see what their life was like, and it was polar opposite to mine. They regularly went on expensive vacations, lived in a massive house and owned the latest gadgets, etc. I went to college and got married at 23. My mother/siblings have no idea I'm married. I'm currently 28 and doing well financially. My husband and I own our own home, We have several very profitable investments and work high-paying jobs. My cousins, 30F and 27F, and I all contributed to help my aunt/uncle to finally purchase their own home last year. Recently, my mom showed up to my aunt's house begging for financial help. Apparently, my stepdad suffered from a gambling addiction a few years ago and lost all their savings. Now with COVID he's lost his job and they can't afford to keep their house without help. My aunt explained she didn't have any money to help her, and when my mother demanded to know how she could afford her new house if she had no money, she explained what me and my cousins had done. My mom then asked for my number. When she called me and explained the situation, I told her I couldn't help. She kept begging me and claimed my siblings would be made homeless if I didn't help them. I told her maybe she should sell some of their fancy stuff where they could all get jobs like my cousins and I had too. I hung up before she could reply. Since then I have been receiving message after message from my mom, my siblings and even my stepdad begging me for help. I have never spoken to my siblings in my life. They've begun harassing my husband and my sister-in-law. They've also reached out to my aunt and cousins multiple times trying to get them to convince me to change my mind. I'm so angry with them all. They threw me away and when they need something, they come crawling back, but the guilt is also starting to set in and I don't know if I'm being an a-hole. Am I? Not the unreasonable one. These people are not your family. You owe them absolutely nothing. It's time to block and consider threatening legal action for harassment. Edit. Crap, I know it's cringy to thank people for awards, but 6 of them? Y'all, I was just laying on the couch watching Hoarders and eating popcorn like a lizard when I wrote this comment, so I'm surprised, but thank you. So a bunch of strangers and a woman you knew when you were a young child are begging you for money? F them. Not the unreasonable one. If they didn't think you were the easiest means to recover their lifestyle, you would never have heard from them. Am I the unreasonable one for moving out even though I know my cousin can't afford the rent by herself? My cousin Amy was renting a 2-bedroom apartment with a friend of hers. Her friend ended up moving away and she couldn't afford to keep the place unless she found another roommate. By coincidence, I also happened to be looking for a place to stay at the same time, so my aunt suggested I move in with my cousin. I would have preferred not to, but my mom and aunt were putting a lot of pressure on me to accept and I couldn't find a nicer apartment within my budget, so I ended up moving in with her. That was 2 years ago. Living with Amy has been hell. She constantly lords the fact that only her name is on the lease over my head and that she could easily kick me out if she wants. She does almost no chores, so I'm basically free maid service for her. She steals my food and my shower/beauty products. She even raised my monthly rent, despite the landlord having not done the same. She's constantly inviting people around to get drunk with and is not very considerate of me at all. I was ranting to my boyfriend of 3 years and he suggested I move out and move in with him. I told him I couldn't as his apartment was way out of my budget, but he said it was fine and we'd split bills based on income and not 50-50. Well, I calculated everything, and I would actually be saving money by living with him, and we'd been talking about taking our relationship to the next level, so it was perfect. I gave my cousin my notice and she immediately started begging me not to leave. She said she could only afford the apartment with me and that she would be forced to move back in with her parents if I left. She even offered to lower the rent back to what it used to be and promised to buy her own groceries from now on. I declined and ended up moving out a week later. My aunt and mom then started to demand I move back in and claimed I should have discussed my issues with her before simply moving out. I did, multiple times. This happened back in February. And my cousin ended up not being able to find another roommate in time. She moved back in with her parents and is apparently miserable according to her sister. She hasn't spoken to me since and my aunt is very snippy with me. A part of me does feel bad because I could have agreed to stay until she found a replacement, but living with my boyfriend has been great. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, I gave 30 days notice, not 1 week. I moved early, but I still paid her for the 30 days. She constantly lords the fact that only her name is on the lease over my head and that she could easily kick me out if she wants. Not the unreasonable one. Your cousin is an inconsiderate a-hole. Should have realized while they're on the lease, you're able to just leave. Important lesson for them: that family won't even put up with their bull crap. Not the unreasonable one. Your cousin is an opportunistic leech and only turned around because her victim was getting away. Your family is full of enablers as well. You absolutely made the right call in moving out. Am I the unreasonable one for not giving my best friend naked sketches of his GF? My best friend of over 15 years and I, both 27/M, have a dispute we need solved. Senior year of college I took an art class, barely passed the art history and painting parts, but aced the charcoal/pencil sketch part. The last week had us sketching nude models, with the last day having both a nude male and female. Somehow Leo da Vinci's ghost came down that day and helped me knock out 3 absolutely amazing sketches. two of the woman and one of the guy. Afterwards the instructor and the models all said they were among the best they'd seen. As someone who couldn't draw a stick figure, I was really proud of them. A few weeks later, at a small gathering, I find out she's friends with one of my friends. We become acquaintances, and a few weeks later, her and our mutual friend have these 3 drawings custom framed for my birthday. Few years later, my best friend and model girl start dating. Now they're pretty serious, having dated for over a year. At first he didn't care I had these framed nude drawings of his GF, but a few days ago he admitted he's bothered that I have them, and he basically demanded I give them to him. I think he's being unreasonable. These are the only art pieces I've ever created myself, and I'm proud of them. People who have seen them can't believe I made them, and I haven't been able to sketch anything that well since. They've been on my wall since they were framed, and I have no intention of taking them down or giving them away. Unless you knew this woman personally, you wouldn't know it was her, and even she has said he's being unreasonable. Her name isn't on them. They're on a wall in my apartment, and not too many people have seen them. It's not like they're nude photos or a poster or videos or anything of her, which I would totally completely understand. They're tasteful nude art sketches. Also, if I give them up, I'm left with a naked sketch of a dude, which is kinda weird by itself. My GF likes them and wants me to keep them. His GF likes them, she had them framed for me, and thinks I should keep them, and most of our mutual friends have my side. He's got 2 friends he's closer to, and they're adamant I should give them to him, so we leave it to Reddit. Am I the unreasonable one for not giving him these drawings? Also, the drawings are currently in my bedroom, on a wall not facing the door. We don't have many people to our apartment, much less in our bedroom, so basically no one sees them. You gotta sketch your friend naked and give him that one. Then what's he going to do if they break up? Give them back? They were sketched years before they started dating. They were gifted to you after being framed by the GF. He will have to get over this somehow. Give him some time. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.